Well, this is part 5 of what the Bible claims about itself. And yeah, on the last video I was quite sleepy. And so sorry if that kind of... Oh gosh, here we go. I think I'll make this one. It'll be okay. So the last one was about the Hebrew and the Greek New Testament, history of the Greek New Testament. This one's specifically about the King James Version and the English of the King James. You gotta quit, was you? Oh my gosh. You look at this dog. Look at this dog on me. You see? He's farting and he stinks. You think keeps me awake, that's not farting. Hey, quit your farting. Quit farting on me. Keep hanging out. Okay. This is the King James Version. At the Hampton Court Conference of 1604, the Puritan leader Reynolds made the suggestion, which was first opposed and then adopted by the conference with enthusiastic approval. Oh, the King James first. That there should be a new translation of the Holy Scriptures in English to replace the different versions then in common use. 54 men, including high churchmen and Puritans, the greatest Hebrew and Greek scholars of the age, formed six companies to undertake the task. Using their Greek sources and the best commentaries of European scholars, and referring to Bibles in Spanish, Italian, French, and German, they express the sense of the Greek in clear, vigorous, and idiomatic English. This Bible won its battles against the prejudices and criticism which greeted its first appearance and became the Bible of the English-speaking world. As in a book called The Divine Original by the Trinitarian Bible Society. The King James Version was published in 1611 after almost 4 years of intensive revision. Not revision of the King James, but a revision of the previous translations. We must also understand that the King James Bible is not the product merely of that learned company of men in the early 1600s. It is the fruit of roughly 100 years of translations and revisions hammered out by godly men in the fires of persecution. Beginning in the labors of William Tyndale, this process is unique in the history of the Bible translation. In giving a biography of the King James translators circa 1860, Alexander McClure makes this observation that all the colleges of Great Britain and America, even in this proud day of boastings, could not bring together the same number of divines equally qualified by learning and piety for the great undertaking of Bible translation. This blessed book, the King James Version, is so far complete and exact that the unlearned reader, being of ordinary intelligence, may enjoy the delightful assurance that if he study it in faith and prayer and give himself up to his teachings, he shall not be confounded or misled as to any matter essential to his salvation and his spiritual good. It will as safely guide him into all things needful for faith and practice as with the original scriptures, if he could read them, or if they could speak to him as erst they spake to the Hebrew in Jerusalem, or to the Greek in Corinth. McClure, Translators Revive, page 64-65. The English of the King James Bible. It is also crucial to understand that the English of the King James Bible is not merely that of the 17th century. It is not the language of Shakespeare, but the language of the Hebrew and Greek. Bishop Lightfoot affirmed that this version was the storehouse of the highest truth and the purest will of our native English. Indeed, he wrote, we may take courage from the fact that the language of our English Bible is not the language of the age in which its translators live, but in its grand simplicity stands out in contrast to the ornate and often afflicted diction of the literature of the time, the divine original. Of the English language used in the King James Version, George Marsh, in a lecture 1870, notes it was an assemblage of the best forms of expression applicable to the communication of religious truth that then existed, or had existed, in any and all successive stages through which England had passed in its entire history. See here. Okay. Even now, in 1870, the language of the King James Bible is scarcely further removed from the current phraseology of life and books than it was 200 years since. The subsequent movement of the English speech has not been in a right line of recession from the scriptural dialect. It has been rather a curve of revolution around it. Edwin Bizzle, The Historic Origin of the Bible, 1873 and 353, page 353. When the Harvard University Press published the Literary Guide to the Bible in 1987, they selected the King James for the literary analysis of each of the Bible books. Our reasons for doing so must be obvious. It is the version most English readers associate with the literary qualities of the Bible, and it is still arguably the version that best preserves the literary effects of the original languages. Theodore Lettis, Ford of Tyndall's Triumph, John Rogers Movement, The New Testament of the Matthew's Bible, 1537 and 1989. Introduction, page 2. We must keep this in mind when we hear the complaining about the old antiquated King James English. The King James Bible is written in beautiful and precise English, fitted, it says, perfectly to the Hebrew and Greek scriptures. And it is not difficult to learn the few antiquated terms necessary to read it with understanding. It is, if one is not willing to give diligent study to the Bible, he will not understand it no matter which translation he uses. And if your Bible reads like the morning newspaper, dear friend, you don't have the Word of God, because the Hebrew and the Greek scriptures do not read as simply and as contemporarily as the morning newspaper. While some portions of the Greek New Testament, portions of John's Gospel, for example, are so simple a child can understand them, other portions are very complex. And overall reading level, the King James Version is within reach of anyone with an average education. It is written on an 8th to 10th grade level. This has been proven from computer analysis made by Dr. Donald Waite, of whom we will speak more particularly further in our report. He ran several books of the King James through the Right Rider program, I found that Genesis 1, Exodus 1, and Romans 8 are on the 8th grade level. Romans 3, 123 is on the 6th grade level. We note further that William Shakespeare used a vocabulary of roughly 37,000 English words. The King James Bible employs only 8,000. John Wesley Story, The New Testament by William Tyndale, page 10, quoting BBC television story of English, copyright 1986. Dr. Waite says, I know hundreds of people whose intelligence and educational levels have not reached as high as some of these. People who say they can't understand the King James Bible, yet these people do understand it. How do you figure that out? Remember 1 Corinthians 2:14, which states, But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. This verse is still true, regardless of which translation is used. Defending the King James Bible, page 1551. Dr. Waite continues, some people say that they like a particular version because they say it's more readable. Now, readability is one thing, but does the readability conform to what's in the original Greek and the Hebrew language? You can have a lot of readability, but if it doesn't match up with what God had said, it is of no profit. In the King James Bible, the words match what God has said. You may say it's difficult to read, but study it out. It's hard to in the Hebrew and Greek, and perhaps even in the English in the King James Bible. But to change it around just to make it simple or interpreting it instead of translating it is wrong. You've got lots of interpretation, but we don't want that in a translation. We want exactly what God said in the Hebrew and Greek brought over into the English. Let's see here. The following is taken from the instruction manual of the online Bible version 5.0. Sorry, getting a little sleepy. We have now had enough experience to determine which translation is most suitable for computer word and phrase searching. If one were to rank the NIV, the New King James Version, and the Authorized Version, which is the King James Version, on this point, the AV is the best. The NKJV is good. The NIV is fairly good. Much to our surprise, the vocabulary has increased, not decreased, with modern translations. Hence the greater inconsistency in the translation and the greater difficulty in finding what you need through a word search. It seems consistency and readability is quite different to achieve using modern English. The table on this page shows these results. And let's see here. His Majesty Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, addressed the problem when he said, "Ours is an age of miraculous writing machines, but not of miraculous writings. Our banalities are no improvement on the past, merely an insult to it and a source of confusion in the present. In the case of a cherished religious writing, we should leave it well alone, especially when it is better than well, when it is great. Otherwise, we leave ourselves open to the terrible accusation once leveled by the true master of Banal, Samuel Goldwyn, You improved it worse. Sorry, you improved it worse. I thought I said worst. Let's see here. Yeah, don't need to mess with God's word. Leave it like it is. Let's see here. Anyway, hope you got something out of that. I'm going to stop right there. And the next one will be called The Received Text Goes to the Ends of the Earth. And I'll start there. And for right now, I'm going to leave it on this. And so I can feel a little bit of sleepiness coming. It is 2:30 at night. And here about 3 o'clock, I probably need to go to bed. Alright, well, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it. I know there's not too many people watching this, but it's there if you do want to watch it. Okay, anyway, see ya. God bless, take care, and read the King James Version Bible. See for yourself.